Legislator Castellano, would you be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Legislator Castellano.
Present.
Legislator Crowley. Chairman Elner.
Here. First item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of our September 17th meeting. I move to accept these. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, item 4, we're looking at approval of leases for non-profit organizations. Is there anybody here from the County Executive's Office to discuss these? Director Tully, thank you for coming. Please come in.
Just last minute as to be here. We didn't know this was going to be on the agenda this evening.
If I can make a point with this, we usually get memos, invites with the invitation of the person associated with these. I mean, you mentioned in the last meeting too that, I forget who wasn't here. I'm not seeing any of those invitations being sent to department heads to appear at these meetings. So to expect that they're going to be here is just odd.
I don't even expect, I didn't even send this out. This was just brought to me. So it came from, they weren't requested. They came to me. So I completely agree with you, Legislator Montgomery, but this request did not come from the Physical Services Committee. Okay, this came from the County Executive's Office. Yes.
No, you're absolutely right. We have a memo from Jennifer Caruso.
October 18th.
Asking.
We appreciate you getting it on the agenda.
Please find drafts attached for the legislature's review and consideration.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to address, John? Or?
Only that these 3 leases in particular, I believe the county executive made reference to it in one of his addresses to the legislature that lease agreements didn't exist, and he knows that's the purview of the legislature to approve all leases. So wanted to bring a draft to your attention for consideration.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
I can speak in general for all 3 drafts. My review was, I don't see any issues. However, I would like to see a cancellation clause to protect the county in all the leases. So whether it be 30 or 45 days that the county has the right to terminate the lease. It also looked like all these leases were for a 1-year period. Anybody in the committee have any questions or comments?
I would totally agree with that, but just out of curiosity, this is a draft that the county attorney is presenting to us.
Correct.
Not necessary that the person leasing the property has not reviewed this, and we don't know if they're in agreement at all at this point.
That's my understanding. I don't know for sure if that's the correct answer, though, to be honest with you.
I am under the impression a lot of this is recycling the previous leases, considering the amount of the lease is $1 per year. Yeah. But like I said, in concept, I'm okay with this. We just need some refinements to these drafts, and I see how we can get.
Do you want to have a discussion before the full meeting, or what's the?
Through the chair, are we going to have a final copy to approve?
I think this is what they're asking for approval. This is what they're asking for approval. If you want an amendment made to this, I could bring that suggestion back.
The cancellation clause. And is there anybody else who has any comments or desires which they would like to see these leases modified?
Thank you.
I'm fine with them. It's a 1-year lease. They're
Okay.
good not-for-profits.
And we can deal with any changes in the
Yes,
subsequent year.
I don't see any major changes, just
Thank
that.
you.
No, thank you.
Okay. Do you know
Yes.
the reason why it was a 1-year lease? Or?
Probably for the reasons just stated. Give you 1 year to get it in place and then entertain
Item 5,
Are you gonna make a motion to approve your amendment to add the 30 days?
well, I don't know if necessarily an amendment is needed, because
Okay.
these were drafts. This was just a suggestion to come back with a revised copy.
They were sent to be approved.
But they're stamped all draft, every one of them is stamped draft.
Okay, so you don't,
Yes, there's any idea.
I'd like to have a quick discussion about 34 Glenida. We're
Okay.
approving a lease while as we instructed the previous county executive, and the last instruction follows through to this administration, that we sell 34 Glenida.
Mhm.
And now we're offering a lease on it. How does the administration feel about, I mean, what are we doing? Are they gonna continue on and try to sell it, or?
Yes, yes. In
So
fact,
why are we offering a lease on
the
this?
tenant is aware that the possibility of a sale is.
Yes.
Is there a provision in here that if it's sold, that they have to vacate? Is there a 30-day notice or anything?
Well, that's where I was
I
going,
believe
Paul,
that's
with
the
30 days.
termination. Yeah.
Through the chair, why don't they do a month-to-month lease for 34 Glenida then?
Okay.
This way that would protect anybody that wants to purchase it.
Mhm. Okay. Good suggestion, thank you.
While we're on it, when is it going, is it on the market right now?
I've notified the Realtor, we're finalizing the agreement with the Realtor. It'll be the same real estate agent as last time.
Okay. Same price, same asking price?
All of, as far as I know, everything will be the same. If there's updates to the asking price, I'll advise. And I think it'd be at your direction, so I would imagine it's gonna be the same. If we wanna change it, we'll let you know.
Just while on
I
the topic.
think the last resolution was
You
from
set the
2000,
price,
was
yeah.
in 2019.
So if there's an updated information, it's gonna be listed through MLS anyway, so that will set the price.
Legislator Nasarino.
Just on this topic, so it's going to be identical as formerly marketed with no parking?
That's my understanding, yes.
Legislator Sage.
I'm just wondering why it hasn't been on the market this whole time. I mean, if we voted to sell this a long time ago, I'm just wondering why.
That's a great question. I'll do my best to answer. We did not have a valid RFP for real estate services, and last year the laws changed with respect to how real estate transactions are supposed to happen with respect to a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. So our new solicitation addressed that. We just recently awarded it, and county executive instructed us to do, as Chairman Yaki mentioned, and list 34 Glenida.
Yeah, but, through the chair, that changed to the way real estate is now conducted. Real estate sales are conducted in the United States of America. It was a federal
We updated.
lawsuit that was settled. That only came down. It only went into effect in August of this year. But
That's when we made the change.
I know, but this property, you know, there was an unnecessary. I shouldn't say unnecessary lawsuit, but there was a lawsuit on the property in December. There was never a clouded title. There was never a contract on this. There was never any reason to not have this thing marketed. I just wonder why it wasn't marketed all this time.
I don't want to comment. I can't comment on that. I can only comment on, what happened over the last 6 months or so.
I would suggest that the realtor involved should do an updated analysis on an asking price.
Okay.
Just 1 second. I had discussions with the deputy county executive months ago, and he said that being that the title was all settled, in their opinion, that he had told me it was gonna go back on the market, and I had assumed that this has been in the market for months, so this is
Not months,
news to
but
me.
it was.
Oh, no, he
yeah.
told me that
Okay.
it would be put on the market within 72 hours of our discussion, and that was months ago. So let's get it rolling. Legislator Amnesia.
Thank you. You mentioned real estate. Okay. You mentioned that the laws have changed and the only thing that's changed is how commission is paid between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. So that would not be relevant to the sale of the property. That has to do with the agent that is selling the property, who you're listing it with. So
Except that the way the RFP that was awarded previously was constructed, there was a fixed amount for commission, which is now split up to a fixed amount for the buyer's agent, and then the seller gets their.
If you-
They were able
I
to
understand.
present a price for their portion of it.
Yeah, but that still has nothing to do, so in other words, if you're purchasing a property, if you wanna pay out to the buyer's agent, that's the difference.
Yeah, so now we have to have a separate agreement.
Mhm.
And that agreement has to be, it's not in agreement with exclusively the realtor.
This is all new in the real estate
Right.
industry, but I would go back and check. I don't believe it applies to commercial property,
It doesn't.
which is what we have here.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't even apply
Makes
to
sense.
us.
Okay.
So bottom line is, let's get this thing listed ASAP,
When does
please.
it come excuse me, do you know when it expires, like when does it come forward again to the legislature for us to approve for the sale of it? Do you have any idea?
Well, as Chairman Yonke mentioned, that never went away. But I think that
There's no termination on that.
There was no termination.
resolution.
Yeah, the order to
The
sell
resolution didn't-
stands
okay.
through the change of
I see,
administration.
okay.
Yeah.
So-
And that's pre-2023, the
Mhm.
best of my recollection.
Yeah,
2019, thank you.
2019.
Pre-COVID.
Okay.
yep. Okay.
Thank you, Director Tully.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 5 here, this is for approval. The county executive has requested that we have a reduction in fees for Putnam County employees and first responders who are wishing to purchase annual park permits for the Veterans Memorial Park. The requested reduction is 50%. And we have Commissioner Fieri and Deputy Commissioner Bellucci of Department of Public Works. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking.
So this was discussed during the budget presentation and is now presented tonight along with, like we spoke today, we'll be sending over the schedule, just an FYI, scheduled fee, some increases, obviously the one deduction. And then we will look to try to get it approved in December's physical. So we can start fresh January 1 for the parks and all the rentals around the county.
Okay. So just to be clear, what we will be approving is whatever the fee gets set at, a 50% reduction will be
Correct.
granted to the individuals who I just read before. First responders,
And Tom
Putnam
Lillard-
County
Tom Lillard
employees.
wants to include retirees, just to make put that on the
Well,
record.
they're seniors, right? Usually.
Exactly.
I don't see that on the memo. Okay. Any other questions, comments, Legislator Yonke?
I would just ask that sometime between now and the full meeting, if it's approved tonight, can you bring us the old schedule so we can see what the,
Send both, yeah,
what the
sure.
adjustments are?
I'm sorry, Joe, you have any questions?
Yes.
This is the old schedule.
I
It's
just
the
have a
old
comment.
schedule?
Yeah.
$20, second season permit, it's only $40.
That could be different form, I'm sorry.
So if this is the old, we need the new. If it's the new, we
We'll
need
send
the
both
old.
to you.
Like a season permit's $40, right? We think?
Yes.
And for everyone,
Second.
except for
Correct.
seniors and now
Yeah.
hopefully for first responders.
And county employees.
Oh,
Okay.
Efficient.
Okay. Yes, Legislator Nasserino.
I just would like to thank the county executive for this initiative. I think that really serves the public well, and it's in good faith for those who can be offered this discount, and well deserved.
Any other comments, discussion? Just want to say one thing before I move this for approval. I think this is a great idea for the county executive, and I hope that in addition to lowering costs, that it increases use of the beautiful resource of Putnam County. The more people that use the park, the better. So,
To the chair, is it,
yes.
and that's the dog park included?
There's a fee for the dog park.
Is it on here? I didn't-
Yeah, it's,
oh, okay.
you'll get that tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so I don't see
Yep.
it here. It's a separate fee then?
Yeah, there's
Okay, so do you have to do both, or?
it's an add-on for dog access, dog park access.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta pay for those little bags.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
like to move that this resolution be passed along to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Item 6, we're looking at a fund transfer for road machinery overtime. And from the previous discussion with the commissioner, this does not include any of the I'm not gonna say the word, but the following thing is plowing overtime.
Yes, thank you. So this is the setup for that 4-letter word.
Got it. So we're gonna be adding that equipment to other equipment. Any questions, comments from the committee? Other legislators? Okay, so I move that we approve this fund transfer. Just to double check, this goes to audit, this goes to the full.
Goes to audit.
That we move it to audit. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7 is discussion, approval for budgetary amendment from the planning. Commissioner Barosa is here. Thank you for your time and for keeping me put in on this. Due to your diligent work, we've been ordered a $125,000 Clean Energy Communities grant from NYSERDA. Originally, we wanted to use these funds for better insulation and windows at the Donald B. Smith campus, which I was completely in favor of. A great idea. More insulation, energy savings, taxpayer savings. Unfortunately, NYSERDA did not agree with us. NYSERDA is saying that we must use these funds either for electric vehicles or for solar panels. So please correct me if I'm wrong. The approved use is for solar panels on the planning building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the windows at the Donald B. Smith campus that needed to be replaced were part of the Amoresco audit. They weren't originally approved as enough energy efficiency improvement, so they rejected that. We did submit it, and they came back and said it wasn't eligible.
I wish that there was an appeals process so we could push back, because it benefits everybody when we can save energy through passive insulation and improve better windows.
I believe it's still being done.
They are as part of the 2025 capital.
Right, but now that's coming out of Putnam taxpayer funds instead of a grant. Any other questions, comments from the committee, legislators? Okay. So I move that we approve this and send it to audit.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Number 9 is...
Number 8.
I'm sorry, number 8, thank you. Number 8 is, so the county would be the lead agency for a SECRA regarding, lease approval for Monroe Balancing Task for Wireless Communications Facility. That's a mouthful, over in Mayapack. Commissioner Barosa, please.
So this is a project through IT, part of the radio project, the E911 system. This would be at Airport Park. It's for a wireless tower through Homeland Tower company. They would build the tower. We would get this coverage for free with the antennas. So this provides for doing an environmental review on the project itself, including the lease and the Monroe balancing test, which means that we would not be subject to the town
So would we be the lead agency?
Yes, this is the request to serve as lead agency.
Okay. Any questions, committee?
I was just wondering, did we have like a balloon test as the location, the local
So all
residents
of that's
aware?
included in this.
So that's going to be part of what we're asking for here?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Legislators,
Has there been any discussion or with the neighborhood that's right behind that, off of Lake McGregor? Because I know there's a lot of houses back there.
I'm being brought in pretty late in the process. I would have to ask IT about that as far as the
Nasarino.
This is a key location for the 911 system. It does need to ping at this location.
Oh, through the chair, Barbara, so did you just say that home rule does not apply in this instance?
We are,
We supersedes home rule?
we are going to go through the process of that. That would come at the end with final approval. This is saying we're going to start the process and try to see if we're eligible for Monroe.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Do you know if this antenna, Homeland will be allowing co-locators on the tower?
Yes, we would occupy the 150 to 170 foot, so we would be at the top, and it would allow for co-locators. And that's why Homeland is willing to build it. We are getting it for free.
Yeah, and they'll pay us. The
Yes.
co-locators, then will go to the county.
And also the lease for the property.
Okay, it's my understanding that no residents have been notified. Has the town of Carnival been notified?
This will authorize me to start notifying.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. So, I guess this goes, Legislative Council approval of this goes to the full? Okay. I move that we pass this, that we approve this and bring it on to the full legislature. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Number 9 is also to have the county act as a lead agency in a SECRA. This is the Snake Hill Road or over Philippe's Brook culvert replacement.
So this is a DPW project. They received funding through Bridge New York to replace the culvert. It's the same thing. It's starting the environmental review process. It's just declaring lead agency. We will circulate all of the documents, including to the town.
Yeah, but what town is this in?
Any questions of the committee?
What?
Nope.
Legislators? Legislator Nestorino?
What town is this? I'm not, what, Phillipstown? Okay.
And being that there's no further questions, I move that we move this along to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
10 is also SECRA. We're going to be the lead agency. This is for the Peekskill Hollow Road over Wickapee Brook culvert.
So this is another Bridge New York funded project from DPW. It's in the town of Putnam Valley, requesting to serve as lead agency and start the environmental review.
No issues.
No issues? Anyone else? I move that we pass this along to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 11, I guess this is for approval for grants through New York State DOT. I love the acronym. It's for the MEP, Modernization and Enhancement Program.
Yes, this is modernization and enhancement of the public transit system. So it's specific funding that we've been awarded. I want to say probably this is our 6th year. We are receiving
$206,562.
So it has to be, we have to apply for an eligible project. It's similar to NYSERDA. So it has to be something with our transit system. So we are requesting that we fund a cashless fare app with this.
Thank you for your work in securing the grant. Substantial. Any questions of the committee?
No.
Legislator.
And this can be used on the trolley, the cashless app?
It would be
eventually?
an app, so it would be, basically someone would put it on their phone, and yes, it would go on any
Very helpful, that's a big complaint about the trolley. So any efforts, like the credit card system, any efforts we organizations literally stand at the bottom of Main Street with dollars to give to people to get on the trolley.
We currently only accept cash or checks if they come into our office, so it would help us
Really help.
also internally reducing our cash.
Thank you for doing that.
Friendly suggestion, in addition to credit card, let's just see if the app can also take Apple Pay or any other
It would.
computing system. Wonderful, okay. I move that we pass this along to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 12 is the budgetary amendment. We got number 24A114. This is for fiscal year 2024. This is, I'm looking here, for small urbanized areas between Putnam County, Connecticut, and the MTA. So if you could please explain this in a little more detail.
We annually get a distribution of funding for our public transit system through US DOT. We are part of two different metro areas. New York Metro, which we get our largest apportionment, but we're also in a small area of the Danbury Metro area. So this is the funding that we are receiving as being in part of the Danbury Metro area.
I see there's a huge disparity between what Connecticut gets and we get. Section 5307, Danbury's getting $10 million and we're getting $375,000 and change.
It's only covering Putnam Lake, so it's a very small population. So actually, it's pretty generous compared to.
It's population based, not area based. Okay. Any questions of the committee? Legislators? Okay. I move that we bring this to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 13. Okay, this is a discussion regarding Greene County's resolution as it pertains to electric vehicles. This is brought forth, requested to be on the agenda by legislator Agnesium.
Thank you.
Would you like to speak on this?
I think that this is very important, and if anybody read the resolution that they passed in Greene County, but this does affects us tremendously financially, also in the highway departments. The production also of the medium and heavy duty vehicle manufacturers, New York State adopted the ACT rule in December of 2021, requiring the manufacturer to sell a percentage of their total sales as zero emission, starting in 2025. Now, where does that leave us in our local highway department? So, I mean, that is a big question financially.
Yes, and just 1 second, and if the commissioners from DPW would be kind enough to come, and Legislator Montgomery, yes.
Well, not to put the commissioners on the spot, I could have called them, but I just heard Legislator Agnesium. Can you tell us what measures we've taken since actually it was 2019 the act rule was passed? What measures we've taken as a county to comply with this?
I'm speaking specifically for the DPW department. That's what I'd like to hear from.
These are large commercial vehicles.
Large commercial vehicles, I wanted to hear from you on that.
Sure.
And if you'd be so kind, because I have some concerns, and I'd like to get it, forgive me, from the horse's mouth.
Well, there's nothing set in stone as of now. Right now, it sounds like the governor has pushed it out a little bit. I know the county associations of highway and DPWs is against it right now because what was happening was the dealerships were actually going to be fined if the county was going to buy a plow. They had to buy also electric vehicles.
And just for everybody at home, a plow truck.
Plow truck.
Which, and the approximate cost of a plow truck?
Totally outfitted, just under $500,000.
$500,000 piece of equipment, okay.
So the requirement was going to require, to get one of those, you had to purchase some sort of electric vehicle for your fleet. Vast majority of the departments do not have the ability to even charge that, you know, that kind of vehicle. One of the things we did discuss up there was a jog out left for emergency vehicles and responding first responders, so fire departments, ambulances, things like that. They wouldn't be required to fall underneath that. So I know the highway departments are getting together to look to see if we can also, as first responders, as essential departments for storms and the like, not to have to fall under that just yet. We're not ready for it yet. We don't have the facilities, infrastructure, and one of the biggest concerns right now is things like NYMAR, where your insurances will go once you have a vehicle, electric vehicle, in a garage or a facility even, that even if it's external, if you do have a fire, you know, we don't even know what the NYMAR cost would be, and I would, as an association, you're just guessing it's going to be astronomical.
The other part of this, and legislative clerk brought to my attention, this also applies to buses, i.e. buses and school and potentially school buses. What happened in Chicago when we had a very, very cold winter, no one was able to charge. So the other part of this is, where are we going to put indoor facilities for these expensive vehicles? The other thing, you just said a plow truck. Well, what happens when we have one of these protracted storms, 12, 18 hours? It's going to take you a minimum of a few hours to charge the vehicle. How can you have the plow offline when charging it?
Well, even if it's just a vehicle, it wouldn't be able to help us during that kind of long storm.
There's a safety concern that I see. God forbid there is an accident and a fire. Well, what happens with all the diesel fuel that's there? I mean, I think you said it right there. I don't see that we're ready for it for these large commercial vehicles at this time. There's costs, there's insurance costs, there's safety things. And if I'm not mistaken, in September, there was just in Westchester County, White Plains, Greenberg area, there was a Tesla which caught fire and went into a apartment home, killing a number of people.
Killed the two people that were inside the car.
Yeah.
Due to an explosion.
Due to an
Well,
explosion.
they couldn't get the people out of the car in time. So
Right,
Yeah.
but
they died because of the fire.
they died because the electric car exploded. So,
This dangerous,
yeah, I just have a comment to the chair. I'm just very concerned about the safety, not only for the DPW vehicles and the efficiency, but also school buses. I'm petrified to have electric school buses, because if there's any impact or accident, those things just explode, and that's a big safety issue to consider.
I mean,
Not that we're there yet,
Through the
but
chair, I just wanted to mention that Maine, North Carolina, and Connecticut, among other states, recently stepped back from adopting the regulations, the ACT regulations.
Right now, the state has, New York State has right now, but, you know, we are still asking to be considered essential. So we're not,
You excluded them.
we're
So-
excluded for now, right? Because, I mean, we're probably, you know, some of the more rural counties don't have any, they don't even have the infrastructure to get the kind of power to.
I was going to say, I don't see where any of our facilities have the amperage to charge one or two of these. I mean, it's Legislative Montgomery.
That's a really good point, and I've been sitting here for 6 years, hearing all of the reasons why we can't do this, because we don't have the infrastructure. And I'm hearing tonight people thinking that they're gonna really stop the oncoming of electric vehicles.
No,
We're
we
not
won't
gonna,
stop
we're
it.
not gonna stop that,
Not
it's
gonna
coming,
stop.
we're gonna be,
Just
we're
we can
gonna be,
voice our concerns.
excuse me, I have the
Concerns.
floor.
Yep.
We're gonna be mandated to do this, and I think instead of finding all the reasons why we can't do this, I look at it as an opportunity for bipartisan legislating. The rollout of the advanced clean truck rule is not perfect, and we do need to communicate our questions and concerns to state officials. But do you really want to send a resolution like this to the Democratic-controlled New York State Legislature? What do you think will happen? What good will this do? Or do you want to maybe at this point try to make a difference? I mean, the previous administration and many on this legislature really have done nothing to implement the climate smart initiatives. The last two items in this resolution call for a pause and reclassifying highway trucks as exempt from ACT. We do need to talk to our state legislature, and what I'm hearing is we're not going to do that. We're just going to send this resolution to demand that they, put a pause on this. But this pause leads to the continuation of unacceptably high emission rates. This is not in alignment with the resolution that we passed in Putnam County's stated goals as climate smart community. The past few meetings, most of you have expressed the importance of standing by and implementing our resolutions. I hope you continue with that dedication and enforce and implement our climate smart resolution that we passed. The passage of this new resolution would go against the work we've already done. For example, the efforts we've made in the leasing program have done a lot toward efficiency, yet we don't have a fleet efficiency policy. There's a lot that we can do proactively instead of continuing to just say no. I just think it's ironic that this resolution comes just a week after the elections, and we know, because every newspaper article states that Congress will reduce clean energy funding. We've already missed out on all that funding for the smaller fleets. I mean, that's a no-brainer at this point. Most municipalities have the infrastructure. Municipalities on a far less budget than we have the infrastructure for their smaller fleets. I get it with the bigger trucks, and we do need to work it out. The incoming president is going to unilaterally cut environmental regulations. Anyone in any leadership position, local, state, federal, Republican or Democrat, conservative, has hopefully seen the basic science and hopefully understands that these moves will definitely worsen climate change. In 1969, President Richard Nixon's advisor, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, wrote a memo to him describing a startling future. The increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere caused by burning oil, gas, and coal, Mr. Moynihan wrote, would dangerously heat the planet, melt the glaciers, and cause the seas to rise. Goodbye, New York, he said, Mr. Moynihan wrote. Goodbye, Washington, for that matter. 55 years later, government agencies are determined to play politics and add fuel to the fire. I hope that we as a legislature can rise above that and see this boilerplate resolution that we will be sending to Albany. Where do you think it's going to fall? Maybe we can start to implement some of these infrastructure needs that we've just been dragging our feet, quite honestly. We have a great climate smart person now that has been finally, much to your wanting to halt this program, is finally implementing. We just saw how many thousands of dollars again come from NYSERDA to implement these measures. We just need to maybe forget fighting with Albany and maybe start implementing these. This is not going to stop Albany. We know we're already in talks with Albany. They are going to negotiate with us and maybe make some changes to this. But let's do something proactive for a change.
So, do you own an electric vehicle?
I don't own an electric vehicle.
Okay.
I own a 10-year-old, $190,000 vehicle.
I
know you own like 5.
I own an electric vehicle, and I've experienced the shortcomings with an electric vehicle.
So you're going to say no to electric vehicles? It's
and
mandated.
For big trucks, yeah, I am absolutely
so what's your
against
point
big
in,
trucks.
Do I own an electric vehicle? What is your point in asking me that?
Because I have experience. I have years of experience, and I've witnessed
I don't understand
firsthand
what
the
your
shortcomings.
point is in asking
My
me
point
that.
is when the temperature goes down, the vehicle loses significant
So do you
range.
think we as
The
a county are
batteries
not
need
going
to
to
be
buy
repainted.
electric vehicles? We as a county are
We
not
as a
under
county
your
are not,
leadership.
under my leadership, I do not see us buying plow trucks and large heavy
But we're not going to buy
equipment.
cars either. Is what I'm
The motion, the resolution
bringing up-
only
why are you
deals,
bringing up
excuse
small
me,
vehicles?
Legislator Montgomery,
Why are
I
you
have
bringing
the
up
floor.
small vehicles?
You
we're
brought
beyond
up
that.
vehicles This is trucks. These are big trucks. This is DPW, okay? I am completely against having big trucks at this time. If things change, we can revisit it. The other thing is there's infrastructure as charging stations, and there's also infrastructure of having available electric service. We don't even have the wiring coming to these buildings.
Embarrassing.
The cost
Pretty
associated with getting this from NYSEG or in certain areas, potentially Central Hudson, is prohibitive. In addition, they don't have enough electricity to service what we have. So at this point, my feeling is, I would like Albany to know that we're not ready and we need to push back. That's my opinion. Legislator Yonke.
I couldn't agree with you more, Chairman Elder. Senator Moynihan's been dead for about 30 years, and the seas have not risen. Okay, we're not experiencing any of the flooding that he predicted. We haven't created the infrastructure to support these electric vehicles because it's insane. The cost of it is insane. The cost of the vehicles is insane. They're not safe. This is not proven technology. Legislator Montgomery herself said that the legislation is not perfect. That's the biggest understatement that I've heard here tonight. There's nothing smart about what's going. They just arbitrarily, and this is typical Albany politics. Oh, let's create a rule. Highway trucks. Let's 100% electric. They're not paying for it. They're not funding it. And as you say, you have rural. Most of the state of New York is rural. Okay. And what do? We shut down a power plant here. Yeah. We shut down a nuclear power plant, and now if you talk about coal emissions. Where do you think the electricity is coming from? Those places up in the middle of central New York, they're not going to be able, and they're the ones that are getting whacked with the bigger snowstorms than we get. This is insane.
Also,
and I proudly support this resolution.
Also, I want to point out, you mentioned something about for the election. This memo was brought forth prior to the election. This memo was brought forth October 23rd. So there's no politics in terms of the election. That's when this was done. Anybody else? Legislator Nasarino.
I would support memorializing this. I don't really think that what would Albany think if we send it. That's not my concern. I think our voices need to be heard, and I think it's an important issue, and I think he's asked why you advocate for electric vehicles all the time, so it begs the question whether or not you choose to drive one.
The problem I have with this whole concept is it's being rammed down municipalities' throats. The whole idea that for an automobile dealership, in order to sell one vehicle, has to sell another electric vehicle, that's not capitalism. Legislator Sage, you had your hand up. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think fear-mongering is going to help the situation. If you look at the CO2 emissions across the whole world, the percentage of CO2 emissions from the state of New York is less than 0.0004%. And making each of these municipalities fund lowering the CO2 level on the backs of the taxpayers for such an insignificant amount of CO2 emissions. Let's get there. Let's get the infrastructure. There's no, New York State's not going to melt the polar ice caps. You know, we need to build our infrastructure first, and I'm not going to do that on the backs of and the safety of our taxpayers.
Legislator Montgomery.
So first I'd like to say it's just a shame that you guys have to make fun of my 10-year-old car that has 190,000 miles on it.
No one made fun of your car.
There's a lot of BMWs in the parking lot there, so good for you guys. I'm proud of you. That's wonderful that you get to do that.
Yes, and they're very gas efficient, fuel efficient,
my question
and they help.
is, so I get that, you know, we're going to send this to Albany, but again, as I've asked over the past 6 years, what is our plan to address this, and what is our plan to start implementing the infrastructure, and what is our plan to start becoming prepared for these climate initiatives that will be mandated, regardless if we're Republican, Democrat. I don't see that it's not going to be mandated in the future. Are we just going to?
Good Chair, we do have plans to put in charging stations. So there's a bank going into DBS campus, which will start it, and then also planning next year, another charging station, so we are baby steps, but
Well, planning, we have all that fuel there, so we gotta be very careful. It's a safety issue.
I think it's interesting that.
which will be, apart from the building and apart from the bus, it'll be away from, the location is good. You know, same with DBS campus, it's not gonna be near the fleet or any fleet, it's gonna be isolated site.
So we're crazy by municipalities that are on an $11 million budget and $2 million budget have 2, 3, 4 charging stations.
You don't have the floor, Legislator Montgomery. Would you like the floor? Please raise your hand. Any other questions, comments?
Big man.
I move that we memorialize this resolution. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Two of us.
It's just the two of you.
Say yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator Crowley. Chairman Elner.
Yes.
Motion carries.
There's another business there, Diane?
Yes. The capital projects.
District Attorney's
You got it?
Yes, for the district attorney's office, thank you. Okay, I move that we accept item 14A, other business for the district attorney's office renovations. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
My understanding is that there is a new attorney coming on to the district attorney's office, and this is an amount not to exceed $20,000 so that they could convert conference room space to office space to accommodate this person. Renovations may include, but will not be limited to, doors, lighting, blinds, furniture, ceiling tiles, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, audiovisual, IT, electric flooring, wall removal installation. Any comments?
We can do it under $20,000, right?
Yeah, that's good.
We hope to get money back.
Okay.
Okay.
How do you get money back? Was it from?
I'm saying we'll come in less, and we'll get the money back.
Okay.
Under budget.
All right, under budget.
Okay, and I should have read this, we received a letter of necessity from Alexis Hawley in the DGS office. She's the Assistant Supervisor of Planning, and that's why we put it on tonight's agenda, okay? So, this goes right to the full,
Yep. Yes.
okay? I move that we approve this and push it to the full. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Being that there's no other business, I move to adjourn. Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.